crooked, is that right?
The table.
Just fine.
You talk just like Marcus does.
You're gonna do just fine.
Yeah.
You're gonna do fine.
Right. Just make believe you're talking to your best friend who's in this camera, somebody you like. One
Me.
person.
You'll do
But
fine.
once you get into it, you'll forget about the
Good.
Mm-hmm.
I better slow down or I'll be done.
Hello, I'm Katherine Filipovich, and this is my daughter, Dana, to my left. We'll be telling you about the history, making, and meaning of the Ukrainian Easter egg, all of which I learned from my mother, and naturally I taught it to my daughter, who is to my left, to my other daughter, and to my son, and they're equally skilled. I will first explain some history of the Easter egg, one of the most colorful of springtime traditions among any of the European peoples is the Ukrainian art of decorating Easter eggs. The origin of the art is lost in antiquity. However, it is well established by the 10th century that the art was deeply rooted among the ancient Ukrainians. The early Ukrainians were sun worshippers, as were most of the ancient people on the European continent. It was natural that when the entire Ukrainian nation was baptized into Christianity in 988 AD, many of the pre-Christian ideas and traditions were carried over into the Christian observances. This is particularly true of special feast days which happen to coincide with special Christian customs. An example being the early established tradition of exchanging the beautifully colored eggs at the spring solstice, which has now become an integral part of the Christian Easter celebration. Life in the early days was extremely difficult. There were no comforts during the long, bitterly cold winter days. The lengthening sun rays gave promise of better days ahead. To show their joy, it was natural that the early people should seek some form of joyous expression. Now the egg, being the symbol of new life and recreation, was a very fitting symbol to express joy for renewed life. The original designs were naturally very simple. As the art spread and became deeply rooted, the designs became more elaborate, while retaining their original theme. The designs changed in character, and the procedure and method of application altered slightly, but the art remained essentially Ukrainian. Because Ukrainians were primarily an agricultural people, it was natural that the inspiration for the designs should have their origin in the rural theme. As the designs were developed and stylized, they became peculiar to the area of their origin. The differences in designs became so marked that today it is possible to tell the geographical areas and sometimes the villages in which the design originated. With the yearly repetition of certain designs, it was natural that they should have descriptive names, and we find such names as grapevine, wheat, tree, cathedral, hoe, rake, etc. commonly used. Probably the most widely known design is the 8-pointed star. This was a pre-Christian symbol and is credited as being the symbol of the sun goddess Atar. This design is found in all types of Ukrainian decorations such as embroidery, pottery, inlaid woodwork, carving, and Easter eggs. One of the outstanding characteristics of the egg is the geometric division into equal parts, with the central theme of the design being repeated in each section. The work is entirely freehand, and the writer uses the designs which have been characteristic of her family for many generations. Of course, now we've mixed it up a little because we have many Ukrainians from different parts. That's here in America. And in our society today, Ukrainian Easter eggs, which are called pesanke, have very special rituals attached to them. The word pesanke means to write. We write with beeswax, and I'll explain the process later. Following the resurrection service and after the Easter food and eggs have been blessed, the people gather outside the church and exchange Easter eggs as tokens of friendship, much as we use Christmas cards in this country. The traditional phrase, Christos voskres, Christ is risen, accompanies the gift. As it is received, the response, Voistino voskres, indeed he is risen, is used. There is another old custom not practiced much here in America, which takes place on the Monday following Easter. Young men during Easter are supposed to receive Easter eggs from their admirers, and on Easter Monday, the young men who feel that they've been slighted by their favorite girls delight in dunking the girls in conveniently handy water. This Monday traditionally is called Dunking Monday. It is also known as Provodu, in memory of the deceased. On this day, families assemble in the cemetery near the graves of the beloved departed ones. They spread the beautifully embroidered tablecloth and have an outdoor meal and reminisce about the departed ones. It is also customary to place Easter eggs on the graves, especially those which have the special ornamentation represented by saw-toothed endless lines, which are supposed to symbolize the endless life of the soul regardless of death. Now I will show you how we write the Easter eggs. I repeat, write. We do not paint with the color dyes. We have writing tools. The writing tool that we mainly use, this is an unused one. It's on a stick, and there's a copper funnel. The opening on the top is large, and the width of the line is determined by the diameter of the point. So we usually have 3 styluses, small, medium, and large, or fine line, a medium line, and a filler. We wrap copper around the funnel and hold it to the stick. The copper keeps the heat even. We take the stylus and run it through the candle slowly, the low part of the flame. You'll notice that this is a used stylus or writing tool. The reason it's black is we get the soot or the carbon, overheated this. That's a no-no when we're writing, to overheat the stylus. And that also is a no-no, not to let the stylus burn. It doesn't want to go out. And that was a no-no. Okay. I can't seem to get it out. Okay. We'll put it into the cake of beeswax. Cake of beeswax is beeswax color, honey color. It will turn dark because of the soot that has attached itself to the writing tool. We pick up some beeswax and then we write on the egg. Those are black beeswax lines on the egg. Those 2 points of the star will be yellow. My daughter has already dipped the egg into the yellow dye. We're protecting that area from the future dye baths. When she is finished placing or writing with beeswax on the egg, all the parts that she wants yellow, then she will be ready for the next dye bath. The next darker one will be orange. We go from yellow to orange to red to the darkest dye bath.
And they're actually explained right there.
All right. Go a little faster here. So she was at this stage. She is now in this stage. And we want 2 points of the star to be green on the ends. So what we do is we take a toothpick or a stick. I'll grab the green dye and place it here. Then we have the tissue. I'll grab your tissue.
Okay.
A little informal here. And we place some dye on those 2 parts, blot it with a tissue, and then cover the green dye with beeswax, as I did on the next egg. 2 points, the 2 end parts, 2 points of the star, I want green, and these 2, I want yellow. Now we're going to make pussy willows in this area. And the little catkins, the furry part of the pussy willows, will be yellow. So I have to put the little beeswax dots now. I want the stems to be orange, but we're not in the orange dye yet. The stems will be written in later. Now the next dye is orange. Now I've written in the beeswax lines on the stems. Other 2 points of the star I did on the edge with beeswax, and then we start working on the border. These little black triangles I did while the egg was orange, so I'm protecting that area with beeswax. After I finished all my orange work, I dipped the egg into red, did my red work, then I dipped the egg into the green dye bath. That's the same green that I used earlier, but the same green dye on top of red will turn a dark green. Then I take this finished egg and I hold it in the low part of the candle flame and melt all the wax off. And after I've removed all the wax, I varnish it, and it will look like this. Let's see. What is going to be next?
Why don't you discuss some of the basic patterns from the early years in making Ukrainian Easter eggs?
The ancient, authentic patterns. Okay, now we have, let's see if I can get it in line here. Oh, this one. That's the ancient pattern for the constellation or the stars. And Ukraine is above the Black Sea, so this is called the Black Sea pattern. This one is called braids or basket. There's a little bit of a basket there. This one is also called basket. It's in two colors, yellow and red, white background. Now this one is a real far out one. Is it in focus? That one is an ancient pattern of a sunflower. One really has to stretch one's imagination there. Now this one looks more like a sunflower. And those are the crow's footprints, waiting to harvest the sunflowers. And this one is called combs. See the little teeth on the side for combing? And where do we go
Now
from
I think
here now?
maybe it would be interesting to go to some of the slides of the designs that we use nowadays, some of the more intricate designs, such as shown on those eggs.
Let's talk about some specific examples of designs on eggs. This is the eight-pointed star. It's a pre-Christian sun god, now the symbol of Christ. This egg looks like the symbol of Christ in the center there, but it is a stylized rose, and you can tell it by the stamens in the center of the star. And you'll have to stretch your imagination quite a bit. 8 points are the center petals. The black parts with the pines are the next row of petals. The sieved part, more petals. And then the outermost parts of the rose, their petals are curved out. It means love and caring. The next two eggs are the same pattern. This one I wanted to be a white background. But as you know from what I've shown you previously, you have to put beeswax on the egg while it is white to preserve the white area. Well, that's just too much work. So I telephoned Mother one day and asked, how do I make an egg with a lot of white in the background? And she said, well, in Europe what we did was we dipped the egg into our first dye bath, wrote our pattern, dipped it into another color. In this case it happened to be yellow and then green. And then she said she dipped it into sauerkraut juice, which took up the color that was on the shell, but did not do anything to the beeswax. So I did that, but nothing happened. I was a little disappointed, and then I thought and thought and thought. I thought there has to be a reason why it's not working. Then I remembered I did not use food dyes as Mother did in Europe. I was using a chemical dye. So I got out the bleach, placed the egg in the bleach, and voila, my white background. It's my treasure piece. This is the same pattern, an 8-pointed star. Same pattern as that white one. only done in the traditional way of dyeing. This design has the cross borders, an X pattern. 8-pointed star in the center. This egg is 8-pointed star there, Jacob's ladder. Do good deeds for your ascension to heavens. Triangles on the edges. And the next egg is done on a brown hen's egg. There is no white on this egg. Again, the 8-pointed star, triangles. This is an 8-pointed white star, earth tone colors. I think it's a very soothing egg. Different shells take the same dyes differently. I happened to get a dozen eggs this particular year, and they refused to dye in the traditional brilliant colors. This whole dozen eggs took pastel. I was real pleased with it. I can't duplicate it. I haven't found any eggs that will take on this color. The next egg is the same pattern with the same dye, different, well, it took the colors brilliantly, the way that eggs normally take. A stylized flower, earth tone colors, suggestive of the vegetable dyes that were used in the past. This pattern has those little curlicues. My daughter calls them ram's horns, but the real name for those little curlicues are apples. They represent, I should say, apples or plums. Waves on each end, triangles in the center band, and little crosses, and also some lilies. This is the ornate egg, a Hutzel egg. This pattern is a Carpathian mountain pattern. Earth tone colors, suggestive of vegetable dyes. Triangles, half of the 8-pointed star, a daisy. This is the cross, and the 8-pointed star represents Jesus Christ on the cross. And pussy willows. Now in Ukraine there were no palms for Palm Sunday, so instead of palms they used pussy willows. That was the first thing that came out of the ground in the spring. You'll see the pussy willows quite a bit on our eggs. This is the stars, the constellations in the heavens. Oak leaves, acorns represent strength and virility. Butterflies, stylized butterflies. I got a little wild with colors on this egg. Butterfly wings, flowers, and the rakes. Agricultural, pastoral. The name of this pattern is the good fruits of the Christian life, grapes. And my last egg, grapes again. Beautiful, graceful leaves, triangles on the ends. If we're going to make an egg for a specific person, we put on the egg certain wishes. Now, for this particular person that I'm going to give this egg to, I wish a long life. So what I do as I'm making the egg or writing the egg, I say, may you have many, many years. These are pine needles, or feathering, as some people call them. So I'll go, may you have many, many years, a long life.
Earlier, we showed how readily the pre-Christian custom of egg making was incorporated into a Christian ritual, and we feel that this little Ukrainian folktale shows just how much this art has come to denote Christianity. One day, a poor peddler was on his way to market to sell his wares, a basket of eggs. He came upon an angry crowd. They were marching a man staggering under the weight of a heavy cross on which he was about to be crucified. The peddler, taking pity on him, left his basket of eggs and went to assist him. Upon his return, his eggs had been transformed into beautiful Ukrainian Easter eggs. The man was Christ, the peddler Simon.